Each one of us make our world according to the sounds that we hear, like the eagle that flies in the sky. The Lakota people have always honored our creation. The beautiful things that walk, swim, crawl, fly, that makes us who we are. We've always believed that, Lakota people always believed that we as a human being is just a compilation of all the beautiful things of this earth. So we have a special obligation to that. Because the fight for freedom has never really stopped. In the 1868 treaty that was proclaimed by Andrew Johnson in 1869 says that this country, meaning the United States, pledges its honor, and the Indians do the same. So today the question is, whose honor are we talking about? We want somebody to speak the truth. The Lakota people have always been looking for that one honest man that come and tell us the truth. There's nothing more heart-wrenching than listening to prison doors close. That awful sound. Clank, close, and only then another door opens. You go through that one. The first step of degradation of the human mind and soul. I had several occasions to be in that situation. This federal government system took me to court 4 times. But because of the legal system, I was able to get out because of my unique status with the United States of America. We are seen as equals to the United States of America because we signed treaties with the United States of America, and we're waiting for them to honor their word. But the clanging of jail cells is something that you never forget. Because in my case, well, they had to beat me to take me in. Well, that's why I don't have any teeth today. I'm proud of it, because this is the damage that this country has done to me. In the year June 1980, on an island called Alcatraz, a famous Ojibwe warrior, statesman, diplomat, Dennis Banks, handed me a pipe and said, "You're walking to Washington, D.C., he said. And when you're done with that, you're going to go to New York, he said, to the World Prayer Wall across from the United Nations. And on that wall, it says, they shall beat their swords into plowshares." So every day we walked. 6 months, 23 days. Walked every day about the nuclear fuel cycle. We went to where the mining and milling, which is the first step in this terrible circle of death. Children that had to pay for living in radon-infested homes in Navajo land. In Nevada, we saw the nuclear bombs and what they were doing. As we walked across the country, Kerr McGee, we took them back some of the mill things that they left after they milled the uranium mines in what they call the Grants Pass area in New Mexico. And all the way across the country, we carried this radon gas releasing mill tailings to bring it back here to Washington, D.C. As we got closer to the East Coast, and let me state at this time that there are many, many beautiful people in this country. People who gave their food, who gave their homes so that we have a place to sleep after walking every day for 6 months and 23 days. So I knew that there are honorable people in this country, which I didn't know because my experience was with something they may have to say, but it's the Catholic Church that made me stand on my knees and pray on gravel to teach me another way, he said, to teach me the Christian way, he said. So it's kind of strange that as we move further east, names like Thomas Merton came to play. And Jonah House came to play. And the Plowshares 8 shined the light of justice for the Lakota people. Because it was in Pittsburgh, we met a lady by the name of Molly Rush. Molly says, you have to go to this prison over here. Well, because I had been in that prison system, I was a little bit reluctant to go into this prison. Again, just to humanitarian reasons, I guess. So as I acquiesced to that request, I and the Buddhist priest Nipashi sang Namo Nyoho Ringe Kyo all around that prison. But I endured that slamming of the jail cell to see this lady. Her name was Anne Montgomery. Sister Anne. It was a little bit like your grandmother being in jail. Beautiful, kind lady, sitting on a polished steel prison table, surrounded by about 100 disenfranchised young black men. Why was Sister Anne left in this particular point of view? Why did they leave her in this all-men's prison? Well, I heard it was the first action of the Plowshares that said that we will pound those swords into plowshares by pounding on nuclear warheads at kings of Prussia and Pennsylvania. So I started to carry her message of reconciliation, of peace, and commitment, but the lack of fear. Because we know what we do is not for us, but for the future generations. Amen. We are looking into the eyes of the seventh generation when we do our actions. I want my great-great-grandchildren to say good things about me. And as I watch the world, and I've got exposed to the world because of that, I watched from the Maldives, of course the Marshall Islands, all of these places that are going to be underwater because we just can't say enough. This is a personal responsibility and a challenge to each and every one of you to answer that question, when is enough enough? How much money can you have in the world? How much weapons can you have in the world? How many times that people have to die? There are enough weapons in this world to kill everybody 30 times over. How many times do we have to die? See, as our friends had alluded to earlier, it's madness. fear gone crazy. And of course, I was very, very happy to present the Resistance Award to somebody who knew Sister Anne Mark Montgomery on a very close and personal way. Sisters of the cloth, brothers of the cross. And this is what I always celebrate, because I am not alone. We are not alone. We have friends. We have brothers and sisters who will stand together with us, irregardless of the pain that we go through on an individual basis. So it's my great, 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 great honor and respect for your order, and especially to the Plowshares 8, the original ones, Philip and Daniel Berrigan, Molly Rush. We have several others that escape my mind at the moment. But it's to say that we are not alone. And so it's me, my greatest pleasure, that I'm able to come and bring to you this award, very deserving brothers and sisters. Mr. Walli, and of course this beautiful lady that sits right in front of me here, Megan Rice. You remind me so much of Anne Montgomery.
No.
So it is my want to ask all of you for a moment of silence. For this trail that we walked on, it's been blood, it's been painful. But we will endure because we love the beautiful life that we have more than life itself. So please come up and get your award, and I should say get your bail money.
What more can we say, Michael? Let's add that 3 years have passed since Greg Borgie Obed, as he reminds us, we were divinely led into Y12 Oak Ridge facility. If ever a sign were needed about the clarity to many of us of God's providential presence in this planet, surely we have one. It is in the absence of another intended actual detonation of a nuclear bomb on an urban site or anywhere during the 70 intervening years since the atrocities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Our primary gratitude is to this divine presence at work in our lives. And additionally, we give thanks to each of you, as they've been so well expressed ahead of us, from the bottom of our hearts, for making this gathering possible, for coming all the way from Europe and the West Coast and further than the West Coast to Washington, for planning these events, which are co-hosted with groups like Physicians for Social Responsibility and others who are involved in this week's events. I am representing the thanks for the Plowshares recipients of this Nuclear Free Foundation commendation, other than, but as well as Greg, to the Nuclear Free Futures Foundation, who are not able to be present here tonight. We recall Sister Jackie Hudson of happy memory, and Sister Carol Gilbert and Ardith Platte, who are here tonight. I didn't think they were going to be. Moylan and Art Latham. With his story. They're one of their actions. There are many more actions than I performed anyway. The Sacred Earth and Space 2 Plowshares action, but they had others as well. Who were unable, we thought they'd be unable they were unable to thank for this award that they were given a few years back because they were in prison at the time. Now, why is it that we three of Transformed Now Plowshares did what we did? Really, it was very plain and simple. Pure common sense. We had known, like many of you, well before 2011. We were in fact outraged, like many of you, by the non-compliance with, for example, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty of 1969, as well as basic humanitarian law, which has been so beautifully put before us tonight. Steps toward that common sense in good faith elimination of billions more of I'm sorry. What we're concerned with is that these are steps toward that common sense, in good faith, elimination of nuclear weapons everywhere, but especially in these United States, their greatest purveyor. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, thank you, Dr. King. But also that the president was calling for the appropriation of billions more of U.S. dollars to be plowed into refurbishing, producing life-enhancing and life-extending, obscenely absorbent nuclear arsenal which we already had. The Y-12 facility was to be the recipient of a brand new nuclear processing facility for highly enriched uranium fuel production. We knew that the 10 trillion US dollars had gone down the drain of the nuclear industrial complex over the last 70 years in this country. $10 trillion, as estimated by, I think, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. So it was pure common sense to enter and to expose and oppose this ongoing production of highly enriched uranium fuel. That crime, for which the United States had twice invaded Iraq and made threats and sanctions on reacting Iran and North Korea. I now defer to Michael for his additions to what we feel is only common sense.
Thank you. Our protest was done 3 years and 3 months ago today. The United States government signed on to the 1968 Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, whose provisions took effect in 1970. They were supposed to make good faith efforts to stop the proliferation of nuclear weapons and to do away with the stockpiled nuclear weapons. Today, the United States government has made appropriations to perpetuate its nuclear weapons arsenal and to continue to proliferate these antichrist, illegal, state terroristic weapons until calendar year 2080. This proves the lack of good faith and lack of compliance and the lack of commitment to comply with the international law, the treaty, which the honor of the United States government and its people was given. You know, they put the honor of the United States government and its people on the line when they signed on to this treaty. So every few years they have a talkathon about the nuclear non-proliferation treaty. The talk gets nowhere. They have no good faith effort being afoot right now to come into compliance with this treaty, which is legally obligatory. So Dr. Martin Luther King condemned nuclear weapons in 1959. He was a proponent of nonviolent social change. He was arrested and jailed repeatedly. Now he has a legal holiday. Dorothy Day condemned nuclear weapons 1 month after the war criminal deaths inflicted by the United States military government at Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. This month marks the 70th anniversary of the United Nations Charter, which substantially criminalizes war. The United States government gives no respect whatsoever to its legal obligations concerning the Charter, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and an assortment of international laws criminalizing the use of torture. The U.S. as a nation is sickened. Dr. Martin Luther King prophesied about the spiritual death of the United States. It has come to pass. There is no commitment to the rule of law, and the United States government self-evidently is committed to continuing its efforts to dictate human affairs globally outside of the rule of international law. Sister Megan asked me to mention to you the agreement that she and our co-defendant, Greg Borchi Obed, came to concerning the $10,000 award that goes with the award that we're receiving tonight. We mutually agreed not to accept it, but to defer it to the Tony Brun and the foreign minister of the Republic of the Marshall Islands. They have many health problems associated with the many long years of U.S. government nuclear weapons testing in that island nation. Otherwise, let's see.